My boss knocked on my door at midnight and asked, "Can I stay tonight? I have nowhere else to go." The stars beyond were cold and distant, a scattered sprinkle of light across the infinite black. Night aboard the station wasn't like on Earth. There were no sunrises, no cool breezes, and no way to tell if hours had passed except by the soft blink of the station's clocks. It was quiet, sometimes too quiet, and that quiet could make even the most ordinary night feel strange. Alex was just about to close their eyes for a short rest when a sudden knock echoed through the cabin door. It was a soft, polite knock, but in the stillness of the station it sounded loud, almost urgent. Alex froze. Who could it be at this hour? "Who's there?" Alex called, trying to keep their voice steady. A familiar voice answered, calm yet unusual in its tone. "It's me, Doctor." Harrow? Alex's heart skipped a beat. Dr. Selene Harrow, the station's mission director, the brilliant mind behind every major project on the station, stood at their door in a dark coat, eyes tired but serious. She had always been reserved, professional, almost untouchable in her authority. Seeing her here at midnight was unexpected in the extreme. "Dr. Harrow, what are you doing here?" Alex asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Is everything okay, Doctor?" Harrow shifted uncomfortably, her usual confident posture slightly diminished. "I need a place to stay tonight. I have nowhere else to go." Alex blinked. The words sounded simple, but they carried a weight Alex couldn't place. Nowhere else. "But your quarters," Alex stammered, trying to make sense of the situation. "There was an issue with my habitat. The quarantine protocols, something about a maintenance problem. I can't stay there tonight." "I'm sorry for the sudden request," Harrow explained, her voice soft but firm. Alex hesitated, their mind racing. It wasn't often that the director asked for a favor, and certainly never something like this. But looking at her, they saw something human in her eyes, something fragile and real. Alex swallowed their nervousness. "All right, you can stay," they said, stepping aside to let her in. Dr. Harrow nodded, a faint smile brushing her lips. "Thank you, Alex. I know this is unusual." Once inside, the cabin felt smaller than usual. Two people in such a confined space could make the air feel heavy, and the usual hum of the station seemed louder, pressing in on them. Alex gestured toward a small cot. "You can sleep there. I'll make some tea while you get settled." Harrow moved slowly, careful not to disturb anything. There was a softness in her movements, a pause between her usual brisk efficiency and the calm of vulnerability. Alex watched her, curious. They had always admired her intelligence from afar, but seeing her like this, almost ordinary, made her feel different, real, like anyone else. While the water boiled, Alex tried to make conversation, but the words felt clumsy. "So, how did this happen?" "Maintenance problems are rare," Harrow sighed, settling onto the cot. "It was sudden. A minor structural fault triggered a station-wide quarantine for my quarters. Repairs take hours, possibly until morning. There's no other private habitat available." She paused, her eyes distant. "It's uncomfortable being forced out of one's routine. You think space makes everything predictable, but it doesn't. It surprises you when you least expect it." Alex handed her the steaming cup of tea, careful not to spill. "I suppose that's true for all of us. Space, it's unpredictable in its own ways." Harrow nodded, sipping slowly. "Yes, and sometimes the unpredictability forces us to confront things we avoid. Loneliness, fear, the need for help." Her gaze met Alex's. "I rarely ask for help, Alex, but tonight I do." There was a pause. Alex felt the unusual weight of the moment. The brilliant doctor, Harrow, who gave orders and solved problems that seemed impossible, was admitting a need, a reliance on another human being. It was strange, almost revolutionary in its simplicity. Alex tried to ease the tension. "It's all right. I understand. Sometimes we all need a little help, even leaders." Harrow smiled faintly, a small curve of lips that seemed almost foreign. "I suppose even leaders are human." The two sat in silence for a few minutes. the hum of the station the only sound, until a sudden flicker of light made them both look toward the corridor. The station's artificial lights blinked once, twice, then stabilized. A minor fluctuation, nothing serious, but enough to remind them both of the fragility of their floating home in the void. "Are you okay?" Alex asked, glancing at her. "I'm fine," Harrow said, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of concern. The station, sometimes it reminds us that even our best plans are fragile. That's part of the reality here. You never really feel in control. Alex nodded slowly. "I suppose that's why humans are remarkable," they said. "We find a way anyway. Even in the middle of nowhere, even with the odds stacked against us." Harrow studied Alex for a moment, an unreadable expression crossing her face. "Perhaps that's true," she admitted. "Perhaps humans are remarkable, and I suppose that's why I trust you tonight." The words were unexpected, almost jarring. Alex didn't know how to respond. Trust wasn't something Dr. Harrow gave lightly. The thought that they were now entrusted with her safety, even temporarily, was both thrilling and daunting. The night stretched on. Alex brought out some small snacks from the cabin pantry, and they shared them quietly, the conversation shifting to lighter topics, station routines, favorite experiments, and humorous incidents from previous missions. Laughter echoed softly in the cabin, a rare sound in the usually sterile, quiet corridors of the station. As the hours passed, Alex realized something remarkable. Despite the cold, mechanical structure of the station and the isolation of space, two humans sitting together in a small cabin could create warmth, connection, and comfort. It wasn't technology or AI that mattered in this moment. It was simple human presence, understanding, and empathy. Suddenly, a subtle vibration ran through the cabin, almost imperceptible at first. Alex froze, then looked at Harrow. "Did you feel that?" She nodded, setting her cup down. "Yes, a minor anomaly. Probably the outer sensor detecting a small fluctuation in the asteroid belt nearby. Nothing dangerous, but—" Her voice trailed off, leaving a weight of concern. Alex felt a thrill of curiosity mixed with unease. Even in their normal, predictable routines, space always held surprises. And tonight, with Harrow here, it seemed the universe had decided to remind them of that fact. For the first time that night, Alex truly noticed the determination in Harrow's eyes. The fatigue was there, yes, but beneath it, a spark of brilliance, alertness, and focus. It reminded Alex why humans could thrive in space. Their minds, curiosity, and adaptability could face the unknown, even when fear and uncertainty pressed in from every angle. As the night grew deeper, a quiet tension settled over the cabin. Not fear, not danger, but the kind of alertness born of isolation and connection combined. Alex realized this night would change something between them, and perhaps in how they saw the universe. Harrow finally leaned back on the cot, closing her eyes briefly. "Thank you, Alex, for letting me in, for being human." Alex smiled, unsure how to respond. They only nodded, feeling the truth of her words. In the vast cold of space, humans were remarkable, not for their strength or technology, but for their ability to care, to connect, to adapt. And tonight, Alex felt that truth in the most personal way possible. Minutes later, a soft beep echoed from the cabin console. The station AI had detected another small anomaly in the outer sensors, slightly larger than the previous one, just outside the asteroid field. Alex and Harrow exchanged a glance, curiosity and caution mixed in their eyes. The night was far from over. And Alex, watching the stars drift silently past the station windows, realized that this midnight visitor might bring more than just company. She might bring an adventure, a challenge, and a lesson in what it truly meant to be human. And with that thought, the two sat together, ready to face whatever the night and the stars might have in store. The soft beeping from the cabin console had grown persistent, breaking the calm that had settled over the cabin. Alex leaned forward, eyes scanning the readings from the outer sensors. The anomaly in the asteroid belt was small, nothing immediately dangerous, but it was enough to demand attention. Dr. Harrow, still seated on the cot, opened her eyes and glanced at the screen. She murmured. That is unusual. Asteroids drift, yes, but the pattern is off. Someone or something might have nudged them slightly. Alex frowned, curiosity mixed with concern. Someone? You mean another crew or an experiment gone wrong? Harrow shook her head. Not likely. Our nearby stations would report unusual activity. No, this feels different, subtle, deliberate, and precise. But whatever it is, it's beyond us for now. The weight of those words settled over Alex. Space was already unpredictable, yet this anomaly hinted at something deliberate, something human, or maybe beyond human. Their pulse quickened slightly, not with fear, but with the thrill of a challenge. Humans were remarkable, after all, because they thrived in the unknown. Alex turned to Harrow. Do you want me to help check the data? Maybe we can figure out what caused it. Harrow considered this, her sharp mind already assessing possibilities. Yes, your perspective is valuable, Alex. Sometimes a fresh pair of eyes notices what years of experience overlook. Together, they leaned over the console, scrolling through reams of asteroid movement data. Alex noticed patterns that hadn't occurred to them before, slight deviations in trajectory, subtle changes in velocity, and the strange timing of the disturbances. It was almost like a silent signal woven into the movement of the rocks. This is clever, Alex said quietly. Whoever did this, they understand space dynamics very well. It's precise but not aggressive. They aren't trying to destroy anything. Harrow nodded, impressed despite herself. Yes, intelligence without aggression. That's very human. Her eyes twinkled for a moment, and Alex realized she wasn't speaking about herself alone, but about humans as a species, resilient, creative, and careful even in the face of unknown risks. As they worked, the hum of the station seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the shared rhythm of two minds at work. It was quiet, peaceful, and yet filled with energy. Alex noticed small gestures from Harrow, tilting her head when she thought, pausing mid-sentence to jot notes in a small digital pad, muttering formulas under her breath. She was human, yes, but extraordinary. And tonight in this cramped cabin, that brilliance felt almost tangible. Minutes passed, then hours. The anomaly slowly revealed more of its patterns, and Alex started forming theories. What if it's a new type of asteroid migration? Something natural that hasn't been observed before. Perhaps, Harrow said, her voice calm but thoughtful. But the precision nature is rarely that orderly. No, there is a purpose here. Someone or something is testing us quietly without us even noticing at first. Humans have always been curious about such things, Alex. That curiosity is what drives discovery. That is what makes humans extraordinary. Alex felt a thrill of pride. Harrow wasn't just acknowledging human ingenuity, she was celebrating it. And being part of that moment, being recognized by someone they admired so much, made Alex feel like the possibilities of space themselves were alive with promise. Their conversation shifted naturally from data to life aboard the station. Harrow leaned back on the cot, her eyes distant as she spoke. It is strange, isn't it, being out here, millions of miles from Earth. No sun, no wind, no trees, and yet we still find a way to feel alive. Humans, Alex, are remarkable in that way. Alex smiled. I never thought about it like that, but you're right. Even surrounded by machines and metal, we find ways to care, to create, to live. Harrow's eyes softened, a rare warmth appearing on her face. Yes, it is a strange combination, isn't it? Cold metal and warm hearts. Yet it works. It works because humans care. Humans notice details. Humans adapt. Alex nodded, feeling a growing admiration for their boss, not just as a leader but as a person. They had always respected her intellect, but this vulnerability, this quiet insight into why humans were exceptional, made Harrow seem almost like a guide, teaching a lesson about humanity itself. The next sound that broke the night wasn't a beep, but a soft knock at the cabin's inner door, an automated alert. Alex tapped the console to bring up the AI report. "Minor anomaly in the external sensors," Alex read aloud. "The fluctuation is moving closer. It doesn't match any known patterns. Dr. Harrow held up a hand, eyes narrowing slightly. "Yes, I see. It's intelligent. Not in the way we think of intelligence, but there is intention. Observe the movement. Notice the pattern of adjustments. Each time the asteroid drifts slightly off course, something corrects it." Alex leaned closer, following her finger along the screen. "It's like it's learning." "Yes," Harrow whispered, almost in awe. "Not aggressive, not destructive, just curious and precise." "Alex, humans understand curiosity better than any AI. We explore, we experiment, we learn without harming. That might be the key here." For a moment, silence fell again. Alex realized how much they were learning, not just about space anomalies, but about humans themselves, their curiosity, their patience, and their empathy. The lesson was subtle but profound. Humans could thrive even when facing the unknown, not through force but through intelligence, cooperation, and understanding. Hours passed, and the night outside the station seemed endless, stretching over the black void of space. Alex felt their eyes grow heavy, but the presence of Harrow, quietly observing, quietly working alongside them, kept them alert. It was strange, comforting, and oddly grounding. "You know, Alex," Harrow said softly, breaking the silence, "it is strange to ask for help. I rarely do, but tonight I am reminded why humans are remarkable, not just because of what we can do alone, but because of how we connect, how we support one another." Alex felt warmth spread through their chest. The two of them, sitting in a small cabin, shared a quiet understanding that transcended words. Here, in this tiny room floating in the infinite black, humanity was alive in its purest form, curious, empathetic, and capable of extraordinary thought. The anomaly continued to flicker on the sensor screen. Its subtle shifts were becoming easier to predict, patterns forming where before there had only been randomness. Alex realized that whatever, or whoever, was behind this, it was giving them a challenge, a puzzle to solve. And the thought of solving it alongside Harrow, of working together as humans do, filled them with a thrill they couldn't describe. Harrow's eyes gleamed as she watched Alex jot down theories and calculations. "You are remarkable, Alex. You think differently. That is why I wanted you here tonight. Not just for company, but because humans see things together. We notice patterns, we adapt, and we grow stronger when we collaborate." Alex smiled shyly. I guess I didn't think my input would matter to someone like you." "It matters," Harrow said firmly. "Every human perspective matters. Even the smallest insight can make a difference in understanding something greater than ourselves. Tonight, we are not just observers, we are participants. And that is why humans are extraordinary." The night pressed on, and the quiet cabin became a workshop of thought and insight. The anomaly in the asteroid belt moved closer, revealing its subtleties more clearly with each passing hour. Alex and Harrow worked side by side, sharing observations, hypotheses, and even jokes to lighten the tension. Finally, as the station's artificial lights dimmed to signal the approaching morning cycle, the pattern became undeniable. The anomaly was intelligent, not malevolent, not random, but deliberate and precise. It was a challenge, almost as if the universe itself was testing them. Alex leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. We might be able to predict its next move," they said. Harrow's lips curved into a rare, genuine smile. "Yes, and if we do, it will prove that even in the vast unknown, humans can adapt, understand, and thrive. Not by force, but by thought, by curiosity, by persistence. That is humanity's greatest strength." Alex realized in that moment that this night, this strange, quiet, extraordinary night, was a turning point. It wasn't just about anomalies or station data. It was about human potential, human connection, and the remarkable ways humans face the unknown. And as the first faint light of the station's morning cycle washed across the cabin, Alex understood that the night had been more than unexpected company. It had been a lesson, a challenge, and a proof of what humans could achieve when they worked together, even in the most distant reaches of space. And somehow, Alex had a feeling that the anomaly, and whatever was behind it, was only the beginning. The station's artificial morning light had barely begun to filter through the small cabin when Alex and Dr. Harrow leaned over the console again, reviewing the anomaly in the asteroid belt. The pattern had grown more distinct overnight, almost as if the mysterious force was testing them, deliberately revealing itself in small increments. Alex rubbed their eyes, tired but exhilarated. I think I can map its trajectory now. It's subtle, but I think I see the rhythm. Harrow, sitting cross-legged on the cot, glanced at Alex and smiled faintly. Excellent. That is why humans are remarkable, Alex. We notice subtleties others miss. We adapt, and we persist. Alex felt a warm sense of pride. Harrow's praise wasn't given lightly, and hearing it now, after hours of working side by side, felt almost surreal. There was a quiet bond forming between them, an understanding that went beyond hierarchy or protocol. Here, in this cramped cabin floating above a distant planet, they were equals, two humans facing the unknown together. For a while, neither spoke, absorbed in the readings and the delicate task of tracing the asteroid's subtle movements. Then Harrow broke the silence. You know, Alex, nights like these make you think about isolation. Out here, millions of miles from Earth, you realize just how much humans need one another. Alex nodded slowly. It's strange, isn't it? Being in space, surrounded by technology, and yet it's human connection that matters the most. Harrow's eyes softened, almost as if she were sharing a secret. It is. The station is filled with AI systems, automated routines, and calculations that surpass any individual human mind. And yet, humans bring intuition, creativity, empathy, things machines cannot replicate. Without them, the station would function, but it would not live. Alex felt a shiver of understanding. It wasn't just about surviving in space. It was about thriving. And thriving depended on people noticing each other, supporting each other, and thinking together. Do you ever feel lonely? Alex asked quietly. The question slipped out before they could stop themselves. Harrow hesitated. Her usual composure wavered just slightly. Sometimes, she admitted, leadership can be isolating. You are responsible for everyone and everything, but few see the weight you carry. Nights like this, they remind me that humans, especially young humans like you, carry hope, curiosity, and energy that keeps us alive. You remind me why we keep moving forward. Alex was surprised, moved. The brilliant, composed doctor. Harrow was sharing something deeply personal, something they had never imagined hearing. The cabin felt warmer now, not from the small heater in the corner, but from a shared understanding between two humans suspended in the void. They returned to the anomaly, working in silence for a while, until Alex noticed something peculiar. Dr. Harrow, look at this. See how the trajectory adjusts slightly every time the asteroid reaches a certain point. It's almost like a pattern of signals, tiny nudges in the belt. Harrow leaned closer, her brow furrowed in concentration. Yes, I see, it's deliberate. Whoever or whatever caused this, it's leaving a trail, a puzzle for us to solve. Fascinating. Alex's excitement grew. A puzzle? That's amazing. We might be the first humans to notice this pattern. Harrow nodded slowly. And that is why humans are remarkable. Curiosity drives us. Observation teaches us. Even when faced with the vast unknown, we adapt and learn. Machines may calculate, but only humans can wonder, hypothesize, and create meaning. Alex smiled, feeling both exhilarated and humbled. They had spent years studying space, reading about distant worlds and technological marvels, but tonight, Working side by side with Harrow, they felt a deeper connection to what it meant to be human. As the hours passed, the two shared small stories, laughter breaking the tension of concentration. Harrow spoke of her early days on the station, the mistakes she made, and the small victories that shaped her career. Alex shared moments from their own life, from training exercises to first encounters with zero gravity. For a while, they were simply two humans, not boss and subordinate, not genius and apprentice, but friends, learning from one another. Then the anomaly flickered again, slightly larger this time, as if responding to their attention. Alex noticed a pattern in the timing, subtle but distinct. "It's reacting to us," they whispered. Harrow raised an eyebrow. "Reacting? Interesting." Not aggressively but intentionally, almost conversational in its own way. Alex's mind raced. Could this be a natural phenomenon mimicking intelligence or something else entirely? And if it were intelligent, what was its purpose? The questions hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Harrow studied the console, her usual analytical calm paired with a rare spark of wonder. Humans are remarkable because we see patterns others ignore. We turn observation into understanding, and understanding into action. "Alex, this is why I trust humans more than machines. Only we can approach the unknown with both caution and creativity." Alex felt a surge of inspiration. "Then maybe we can communicate with it, not with words but through understanding its patterns." Harrow's eyes lit up. "Exactly, observation first, then hypothesis, then experiment. That is how humans expand the frontier, Alex. That is how we thrive where others might fail." Together, they began to map the anomaly's behavior, noting each subtle shift, every minor deviation. It was slow work, requiring patience and careful thought, but with each discovery, a sense of exhilaration grew. This was the essence of human ingenuity: methodical, curious, creative, and collaborative. Hours slipped by unnoticed. The stars outside remained distant and silent, but the cabin was alive with quiet energy. Alex and Harrow exchanged notes, sketches, and observations, slowly building a picture of the anomaly's movements. "You know," Alex said, finally breaking the silence, "this is the first time I've ever felt truly part of something bigger than myself. Not just a task, but an adventure, a puzzle that matters." Harrow smiled, a rare, genuine smile. "That is what it feels like to be human, Alex. That feeling, the curiosity, the wonder, the connection, it is what drives us to reach further, to discover more, to grow stronger together." The anomaly seemed to respond again, shifting slightly in a way that suggested they were on the right track. Alex's heart raced. "It's like it wants us to figure it out, it's giving us clues." "Yes," Harrow agreed, "and humans are perfectly suited for this. Not machines, not algorithms, humans. We notice, we adapt, we connect, and we create meaning. That is why we survive and thrive, even in the vast unknown." The night stretched on, but exhaustion didn't diminish their focus. If anything, it heightened it. The quiet companionship of the cabin, the shared curiosity, and the subtle thrill of discovery made every moment vivid. Finally, after hours of observation and careful calculation, they began to predict the next movement of the anomaly. Alex checked their notes. "I think we've got it. If the pattern continues, we can anticipate its next shift and respond accordingly." Harrow's eyes gleamed. "Yes. That is the beauty of human thought. Observation, deduction, and action. We take the unknown and make it something we can understand. That is why humans are remarkable." Alex felt a swell of pride. They had contributed, alongside Harrow, to a small but meaningful victory, decoding a mystery in the vastness of space, without force, without conflict, only with observation, thought, and collaboration. They leaned back, the first real rest of the night finally coming, and shared a quiet smile. "I never imagined midnight could be so enlightening," Alex said softly. Harrow chuckled lightly. "Space has a way of teaching lessons at unexpected times. And tonight, Alex, we've learned something crucial. Humans are extraordinary, not because of what we can destroy, but because of what we can understand and create together. As they settled into the small cot and chair for a brief rest, the anomaly outside shifted once more, subtle but deliberate, almost as if acknowledging their progress. Alex realized that this was only the beginning. The challenge was far from over, but the lesson was clear. Humans could face the unknown not with fear, but with curiosity, intelligence, and empathy. And as the cabin lights dimmed and the station hummed softly around them, Alex and Harrow drifted into a quiet, thoughtful sleep, connected by discovery, trust, and the quiet miracle of human ingenuity. The soft hum of the station's machinery had become almost comforting to Alex. As they rubbed the sleep from their eyes, the night had been long, filled with observations, calculations, and quiet conversations. Dr. Harrow stirred from the cot, stretching lightly as though preparing for the challenge that awaited them. "Good morning," Alex said, their voice still tinged with exhaustion but eager. "Did you sleep at all?" Harrow chuckled softly. Enough to keep my mind sharp. The anomaly hasn't waited and neither can we." Alex nodded, feeling a surge of excitement. Last night had been about observation and understanding, but now the anomaly was moving in ways that required action. They approached the console together, scanning the asteroid belt once more. The pattern had shifted overnight, forming subtle arcs, almost like an invisible hand guiding the rocks. "It's almost playful," Alex said, eyes narrowing. "It's precise but not destructive, like it's testing us." Harrow's expression was unreadable at first, then softened into a small smile. "Testing us, yes. Not with harm, but with complexity. Humans thrive on challenges, Alex. That is what sets us apart. Where others might retreat from uncertainty, we rise to meet it." Alex felt the thrill of possibility. "So, we solve this puzzle together," Harrow nodded. "Together. Observation alone isn't enough anymore. We must experiment, we must anticipate, and we must act." They began by mapping the latest trajectory data, carefully noting the adjustments the anomaly had made. Each asteroid drifted slightly, nudged by forces they could not see. Alex realized that the shifts were almost rhythmic, almost like a language of motion, communicating with them in a silent, cosmic code. "This is incredible," Alex whispered. "It's not just a challenge, it's a conversation." Harrow's eyes gleamed. "Exactly. Humans are capable of decoding patterns in ways machines cannot. Logic and calculation are powerful, but intuition and empathy allow us to see beyond what is immediately visible." The two spent the next hour predicting the anomaly's movements, marking tiny adjustments in position and speed. Alex noticed that when they anticipated one shift incorrectly, the anomaly seemed to correct itself slightly, as if teaching them, guiding them to the right solution. "It's patient," Alex said, awed. "Not like a machine. It waits, adjusts, almost like it understands we are learning." Harrow nodded, her gaze fixed on the console. "Patience and adaptation. Those are the qualities humans share with life itself. Curiosity without fear, persistence without aggression. That is why we thrive in places others cannot." After careful calculation, they decided it was time for a subtle experiment. Alex manipulated the station's small, remote drones, sending them toward one of the shifting asteroids to measure its response. Harrow watched intently, guiding Alex's decisions with precision, her analytical mind paired with remarkable intuition. As the drone approached the target, the asteroid shifted slightly in response, moving away in a graceful arc that mirrored their predictions. Alex's heart leapt. "It worked. It's responding exactly as we thought." Harrow allowed herself a rare, satisfied smile. "Yes. Observation, deduction, and careful action. That is what humans do best. Not force, not aggression, understanding." Encouraged by this success, they continued their experiment, guiding multiple drones along the subtle paths of the asteroid belt. Each time the anomaly adjusted, responding to their movements. It was almost like a silent game of strategy, and with each interaction, Alex felt a deeper connection to the cosmic puzzle. "You know," Alex said, eyes wide with excitement, "this is the first time I've felt like space is actually alive. Not with life we can see, but with intention, a pattern we can understand." Harrow nodded slowly. "That is what humans excel at. We notice the invisible. We interpret the subtle, and we create meaning where others see randomness. That is why we survive, Alex. That is why we explore." Hours passed, and the cabin filled with a quiet energy. Every shift of the asteroid belt was a clue, every subtle response a lesson in patience and observation. Alex and Harrow worked seamlessly together, exchanging ideas, hypotheses, and corrections. They spoke less about the anomaly and more about each other's thought processes, sharing insights into how humans think, adapt, and create solutions. At one point, the anomaly moved in a way that neither of them predicted. The drone's sensors recorded a deviation that contradicted their calculations. Alex's heart skipped. "Dr. Harrow, it's doing something unexpected." Harrow leaned closer, eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Unexpected, yes, but not impossible. Humans excel when confronted with the unknown. We adapt, we reassess, we try again." Together, they recalibrated the drones, adjusting for the new data. Each small tweak brought them closer to understanding the anomaly's behavior. It was slow, meticulous work, but with every success, Alex felt a growing confidence in their own abilities and in the extraordinary power of collaboration. "This is remarkable," Alex whispered. "I never imagined humans could be so resilient, so clever, even against something we don't fully understand." Harrow's voice was soft but firm. "Resilience and cleverness are what make us human, Alex. Machines calculate. We think, adapt, and create. That is why we succeed where others might fail. And tonight, we are proving it together." As the day continued, the anomaly shifted again, forming subtle patterns that suggested it had learned from their interactions. Alex and Harrow realized that this wasn't just a test, it was a partnership, a silent collaboration across the void. "It's responding to us as much as we respond to it," Alex said. "It's like it's teaching us something about patience and observation." Harrow nodded. "Yes, humans are capable of learning from challenges without conflict. We can adapt, interpret, and succeed in harmony with our environment. That is why humans are extraordinary, Alex. That is why we thrive even in the vast unknown." The experiment continued for hours, each interaction bringing new insights. The anomaly moved with elegance, guiding them toward a greater understanding of cosmic patterns, the beauty of motion, and the subtlety of intelligence without aggression. Alex felt their admiration for Harrow grow, not just as a leader or mentor, but as a fellow human navigating the mysteries of the universe. By late afternoon, they had mapped a significant portion of the anomaly's movements. Alex leaned back in their chair, exhausted but exhilarated. "I think we understand it now. We can predict its next movements." Harrow's eyes shone with approval. "Excellent. That is the result of collaboration, patience, and human ingenuity. Not force, not tools, but thought, understanding, and trust." Alex smiled, feeling a quiet pride. "I never realized that simply observing and thinking together could be so powerful." Harrow's gaze softened. "Humans are remarkable not because of what we can destroy, but because of what we can understand. Tonight, we are witnessing that truth firsthand." As the station's artificial evening cycle approached, the anomaly made one final shift, moving in a way that suggested completion, a graceful conclusion to their shared challenge. Alex and Harrow watched in quiet awe as the asteroid belt settled into a rhythm they could predict. A subtle harmony formed from the combined efforts of humans and the unknown. Alex felt a surge of triumph. They had contributed to something extraordinary, decoding a cosmic puzzle without force, without conflict, only with observation, thought, and collaboration. Harrow turned to Alex, her expression uncharacteristically gentle. "You see, Alex, humans are not defined by power alone. We are defined by curiosity, intelligence, and empathy. That is why we explore, why we endure, and why we thrive. And tonight, we have proven it once more." Alex nodded, words failing to capture the sense of wonder and accomplishment they felt. For the first time, they truly understood what it meant to be human in the vastness of space, patient, adaptable, and capable of greatness when working together. The anomaly's final movement seemed almost like a bow, a silent acknowledgement of their achievement. Alex realized that this challenge, though subtle and mysterious, had revealed a profound truth. Humans could face the unknown and not only survive but understand, adapt, and flourish. As the cabin lights dimmed and the station hummed softly around them, Alex and Harrow shared a quiet smile, a silent acknowledgement of their shared success. Tonight had been more than observation. It had been a proof of human ingenuity, collaboration, and the quiet power of understanding. And though the anomaly had settled, Alex knew in their heart that the universe held many more mysteries. But with curiosity, intelligence, and empathy, qualities that defined humans, they were ready for whatever came next. The first pale light of the station's morning cycle spilled into the cabin, washing over the consoles, the small cot, and the two humans who had spent the night, unraveling the mysteries of the asteroid belt. Alex stretched slowly, feeling the weight of exhaustion and exhilaration intertwined. The night had been long, filled with discovery, observation, and quiet bonding, and yet a sense of accomplishment lingered like the gentle hum of the station itself. "Doctor." Harrow stirred, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her eyes, usually sharp and commanding, were softened by the quiet pride of the work they had completed together. "Alex," she began, her voice low but steady, "I hope you realize what we have done here." Alex looked up, still catching their breath. "We mapped it, didn't we? The anomaly's movements. We predicted its shifts. It responded to us. We understood it." "Yes," Harrow said, a small smile tugging at the corners of her lips. "We understood it. Not because we forced it, not because we demanded control, but because we observed, learned, and adapted. That is human ingenuity, Alex. That is what sets us apart." Alex felt a warm pride bloom in their chest. The anomaly had been more than a puzzle. It had been a lesson in patience, collaboration, and the quiet strength of human thought. They had learned, alongside Harrow, that humans could face the unknown without fear, without aggression, and still succeed where others might fail. Harrow leaned back, her eyes drifting toward the window. The stars outside were calm, scattered like diamonds against the dark canvas of space. "You know," she said quietly, "moments like these remind me why we explore. Not for fame, not for accolades, not for discovery alone, but because humans are capable of extraordinary things. Even in the vast, empty darkness, we leave a mark, not with destruction but with understanding." Alex nodded, watching her closely. "I never realized it's not just the knowledge we gain. It's how we grow as humans by facing challenges together." Harrow's gaze softened, and for the first time that Alex could remember, she allowed herself a moment of vulnerability. "Exactly. It's human resilience, creativity, and empathy that make us remarkable. Not technology, not machines, not raw power, but our minds and hearts combined. And tonight, you've shown that as much as I ever have." Alex felt their cheeks warm at the praise, working alongside Dr. Harrow, once untouchable and remote, had been intimidating. But now they realized that human connection, trust, collaboration, curiosity, was far more powerful than any hierarchy or protocol. They had learned not only about the anomaly, but about themselves, and about what humans could achieve when they worked together. The console beeped softly, drawing their attention. The anomaly's latest readings indicated that it had reached a steady, predictable pattern. The asteroids moved with a quiet rhythm, adjusted and balanced by the forces they had observed and anticipated. Alex and Harrow exchanged a look of quiet triumph. "It's stable," Alex whispered, almost in awe. Our predictions worked. It's behaving exactly as we expected. Yes, Harrow said, her voice firm but filled with quiet admiration. And that is the proof of human capability. We observed, analyzed, and adapted. We didn't force a solution, but we found one through thought, collaboration, and understanding. That is humanity's greatest strength. Alex felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The anomaly had been more than a puzzle, it had been a teacher, showing them the power of patience, the value of curiosity, and the quiet brilliance of human thought. And in the process, Alex realized that humans were capable of more than just survival in space. They could thrive, explore, and discover meaning in even the most distant and uncertain corners of the universe. Harrow rose from the cot, stretching her long limbs. We should report our findings to the station, but before that, she paused, looking at Alex with an expression that was both professional and warm. Before we share this with others, I want to acknowledge something. You, Alex, have demonstrated remarkable insight tonight. You observed, calculated, and adapted. You contributed equally. That is why humans are extraordinary, not because of one person, but because we build understanding together. Alex smiled, feeling both proud and humbled. Thank you, Dr. Harrow. I've learned a lot tonight. Not just about the anomaly, but about how humans can face anything if we work together. Harrow's lips curved into a small, satisfied smile. Exactly. That is the lesson I hope you carry forward. Technology, training, and intellect are important, yes, but empathy, curiosity, and collaboration define the human spirit. That is what allows us to explore the stars. The cabin was quiet for a moment, filled only with the soft hum of the station. Outside, the asteroid belt glimmered faintly, its subtle patterns now visible in ways that only humans, with their curiosity and insight, could comprehend. The anomaly, once a mysterious force of unknown intention, had become a testament to what humans could achieve: understanding without force, learning without fear, and thriving without aggression. Alex took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm settle over them. The night's work, the shared challenge, and the subtle triumph had left a mark, not just on the station's data records, but on their own understanding of humanity. Humans were capable of extraordinary things, not because they dominated or destroyed, but because they observed, learned, adapted, and connected with one another. Harrow looked out the window again, her expression contemplative. Alex, I hope you realize the significance of tonight. The anomaly could have been confusing, even intimidating, but we approached it with patience, intelligence, and collaboration. That is the essence of humanity. That is why humans are remarkable. Alex nodded, feeling a profound sense of agreement. I understand now. It's not just about solving problems. It's about how we solve them together thoughtfully and with care. Harrow's gaze softened. Yes, and that lesson extends beyond this anomaly, beyond this station. In every challenge humans face, on Earth, on Mars, or anywhere beyond, we succeed when we combine thought, creativity, and empathy. That is our greatest strength. Alex smiled, looking at their mentor and friend. I'll remember that, always. They spent the next hour organizing their data, documenting the anomaly's behavior, and preparing a report for the station's command. The work was precise, methodical, and calm, a reflection of the discipline and intelligence that had guided them throughout the night. Every calculation, every observation, every note reinforced the lesson they had learned. Humans could thrive in the unknown not by force, but through thought, understanding, and cooperation. Finally, as they prepared to send the report, Alex leaned back in their chair and looked at Harrow. Do you think it knows we understand it? Harrow smiled, a thoughtful expression crossing her face. Perhaps. Not in the way humans understand each other, but in its own way the anomaly responded to us. It adapted to our actions. It acknowledged our presence. That is enough. Humans do not need recognition to achieve greatness. We simply act, observe, and learn. And through that we thrive. Alex nodded slowly, feeling a sense of quiet pride and fulfillment. The anomaly had been more than a challenge. It had been a teacher, a test, and a reflection of human ingenuity. And in the process, they had discovered something deeper about themselves, about collaboration, and about the extraordinary potential of humanity. Harrow glanced at the console one last time before standing fully. Alex, I think this night has been a success in every way. Not just in understanding the anomaly, but in proving the quiet power of human thought, patience, and collaboration. Remember this, carry it forward, and know that humans are capable of incredible things, even in the face of the unknown. Alex felt a warm sense of gratitude. I will, Dr. Harrow, thank you for everything tonight, for trusting me, for guiding me, and for showing me what humans can truly do. Harrow nodded, a faint smile on her lips. It was a lesson for both of us, Alex, and perhaps for anyone who witnesses it in the future. Humans are remarkable, not because we conquer, not because we dominate, but because we observe, adapt, and care. That is what makes us extraordinary. The station hummed softly around them, the stars outside glowing faintly against the endless black. The anomaly, now calm and predictable, seemed almost to shimmer in quiet acknowledgement. Alex and Harrow exchanged one last glance, a silent understanding passing between them, that this night, this shared challenge, had revealed the true strength of humans in the vastness of space. And as they prepared to step out of the cabin and into the rest of the station, Alex felt a quiet certainty. The universe was full of mysteries, challenges, and unknowns. But with curiosity, empathy, and collaboration, the qualities that defined humans, they were ready for whatever lay ahead. The stars outside, distant and silent, seemed to twinkle with a new meaning. For Alex, for Harrow, and for all humans who dared to explore the unknown, the message was clear. No matter how vast the darkness, humans could illuminate it, not with force, not with power, but with thought, understanding, and the quiet brilliance of the human spirit. And with that knowledge, they stepped forward together, ready to face whatever the universe had in store.